Welcome to the Evening Gamer. I'm Taylor.
And I'm Guy. Welcome, everybody.
Welcome back again. Episode 64.
64. What a time. What a time to be alive, everybody.
Feels like I'm really dying to get to 100. And I know that's a ways down the way. But sometimes I feel like it's getting further away.
Well, I mean, time is linear, so it is naturally getting sooner to us.
Time is a flat circle. Pop quiz. Do you know what that's from?
No, not in the current state I'm in right now.
True Detective Season 1. I hope someone in their car said that along with me.
They probably did, because season 1 was quality television. In the news, just a brief one. Did you see the viral clip of this guy in England got arrested for doing something, I think, pretty bad, and he was going to go away for a while? And he was complaining, saying he's going to miss GTA 6.
He shouldn't have broken the
like,
law.
like in his arrest, as they're putting the cuffs on him, and he's like, "Oh man, I'm going to miss GTA 6." Like, didn't you just murder someone? Like,
jeez, you're going to miss more than GTA 6, bro.
Yeah, that's concerning.
You might miss GTA 7, depending on what you've done.
Well, yeah, there's a way to think about it. But on the run sheet for today, dear listener, we are Mr. Agenda. We are doing our top 5 games we are most excited for this year. We're going to do 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We're going to play it as tennis and kind of go back and forth. I gave T the challenge of trying not to include the games that were delayed into this year. So for the likes of GTA 6 and Crimson Desert, we are not including them, but I would certainly say they'd be very high on both our lists. So these are the ones not, coming out this year. There could be delays, but let's kick it off. My number 5 is Dawn of War 4, a Warhammer release, a top-down not RPG, what do they call it, an RTG or something like that, or whatever the acronym is, where it's a base building strategy kind of game. Had so much fun back in the day on the various other Dawns of War, so very excited for this title. And I am on record previously saying Warhammer is soon to be very much mainstream, more than it is already, with the eventual release of Henry Cavill's, universe in that. Obviously, he's a big fan of it. So this just continues Warhammer seeping its way into mainstream. That's my number 5. Very excited for it.
Speaking of Warhammer, and you'd be happy about this, but I finally got onto secret level.
Hey, nice.
The secret level episode of Warhammer is probably one of the best depictions of a game I've ever seen.
How good is it? How good is it?
Incredible. If the Halo TV series got anywhere near that,
thank you.
It would have been amazing. I was watching it with Mel, being like, "This is fucking epic."
It's popcorn. It's straight popcorn. It doesn't get better than that. It's so good.
It is everything that game was and is in 20 minutes.
Mate, it's phenomenal. Now that you've watched that, there's a YouTube, there's a couple of these YouTube clips where people have animated it. I texted it to you like a year ago. I'll find it again. I'll send it to you. We'll put it in the bio of this episode just for anybody else out there. Because if you want more of that, it's more of that and just quality.
Like, it's just it made me want to go and play the game. It made me want to get the little figurines and paint them. And
mate.
Because I reckon we've missed a trick there, like that not being a childhood thing we were into.
Mate,
like,
I was into it. I was into it.
Well, there you go. Guy was into it. I was not. Like, Warhammer 40k has been a very recent development for me. Like, last couple of years since they dropped the newest game, right?
Man, it's crazy to think in 2026 there is still retail outlets all over the world that sell just that miniature universe. The books they've done, the games they've done, like, it is the fact that like they haven't actually done, like they obviously did Warcraft, which is not it's I probably shouldn't even put it in the same conversation because that's just a Blizzard title. But I just think it's never popped, and I think the Warhammer company, whatever the name's alluding to me, the company that sort of owns the whole thing of it. Henry Cavill's probably propped their sales a little bit, and the fact that they're giving him a little bit of creative, not control, but working with him to get the universe popping, I think it's going to be great. I can't wait for a movie to come out with Henry Cavill playing the lead character and just seeing it all come to life. I think we could get a sort of almost a Marvel Cinematic Universe of the Warhammer world, which would be amazing.
Is it the Games Workshop company?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, nice. Quick Google. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, but I watched that. I was like sitting there geeking out over something I've never been that into, like just frothing that episode. It was whoever does, like, I thought all of them are pretty good in their own little way, but that is a clear standout in that anthology. Like that was phenomenal.
Agreed.
Duskbloods is my number 5, gamers. The Souls-like, I mean, do you even call it a Souls-like? It's from the Heroes of Souls games from Software. It's going to be on Nintendo Switch 2, which would be interesting. Like, I mean, a game that's built so much around movement, and I'm not saying you can't move on a Switch, but it's certainly not the most fluid console I've ever played. So that'd be interesting. But that comes out this year. Super excited for that. Arguably could have been higher on my list. But that's number 5, Duskbloods.
Is it going to be a Switch 2 exclusive?
It sure is.
Are you going to get a Switch 2?
I absolutely am.
Oh, mate, good you for taking the plunge.
I feel like, I was gonna say something else, but fuck it.
Go on. Yeah, go on. Yeah, go on.
Say with a kid on the way, I should probably
announcement. T, I didn't know you were pregnant.
I just
that's feel like a terrible joke.
Nintendo, the Switch is such a good family console.
It certainly is. Yeah, you'll be putting the controller playing Mario Kart in no time, I'm sure. Okay, everybody, my number 4 is 007. I love a 007 title. I've got fond memories of playing it on N64, of playing the Knight Rider or something. There was one 007 one 8 years ago, and sort of around the time of Pierce Brosnan was still popping in that. And I just love 007 games. And this one looks to be sort of a younger version. You sort of go into the level, some of the level design, and I think it's got a little bit of Hitman DNA to it, which Hitman was a game series I've never really kind of bought into too hard, but there's a lot of gamers out there who love that, so I'm keen for a 007 title. I love 007 movies.
I mean, the 007 dominated that era of gaming when gaming was very linear and the story was what it was. Like, I remember some of those 007 it was a GoldenEye. Yeah,
GoldenEye was the pin-up child, the one that to this day is still sort of a pin-up child.
Yeah, absolute favorite. And I played quite a few of the Hitmans, and a few of those earlier ones were really, really good. I think it lost momentum, especially with its latest release. It just didn't grab me, but I think that's actually a good one to have in there.
I'm trying to remember what the last one was that released. I'm just sort of going back through the ones and trying to remember what was the one that I really enjoyed playing. It was 007 Legends was the last one in 2012. Then there was a Quantum of Solace, everything on Nightfire. Nightfire was the one I was thinking of. That's the one. God, that game was good fun.
Coming in at number 4 for me. I feel like if we don't move this along.
This will end up. We're going down memory lane. Okay, number 4 for you. Yeah, it's over to you. Sorry.
Number 4 for me. This is a top-down game that caught my eye from the game showcase last year. It's called Gods, Death, and Reapers. It's by Wolcen. That Wolcen Studio, or WOLCEN. Wolcen, I'm sorry, I don't know how to say that.
That's all right. Yeah.
It's the top-down extraction RPG where you kind of run these errands for death.
Okay.
Go into all these different realms and collect resources and get in and out and build the character as you go. And it just looks like a hell of a lot of fun. So if you're looking for something more low-impact, top-down, have a look at Gods, Death, and Reapers. Set to drop. I think it was kind of like Q3 this year, so probably a bit of a late summer release in the US.
Yeah, nice. I think you've landed on a good one there. I do love a little bit of top-down sort of Diablo-esque kind of game. So
looks good, man.
That does look pretty tasty. Okay, my number 3 is Control Resonant. Control was obviously one that when we reviewed was pretty high on the score chart. Really enjoyed that one, and this one looks to be, I'm what's the word for it? I'm trepidatious around Control Resonant because I'm just sort of the previous title was, in this the office block setting and all the rest of it, where this looks to be going a little bit out open worldy, not quite kind of the same locale, which I'm fine with. And I think that obviously the company behind them has got a bit of a rep for some good games. I look to be playing the brother and maybe playing a bit of a bad guy in it. So it's taken a bit of a different direction. So I'm always keen for trying new things, and not doing the age old. We're just going to mine the previous title because it was such a money maker for them. So we'll see.
We'll see. That sounds all right.
Yeah.
Sounds all right. I like that. Number 3 for me, Reanimal.
And that one's not far away at all.
Not far away. So by the time this episode drops, this game would have dropped. It's by Tarsier Studios, who did the original 1 and 2 Little Nightmares before completely handing over Little Nightmares 3 back to Bandai Namco. So they have just taken their IP and gone, we're going to do this again, and we're going to do it better than ever. It's very, very Little Nightmares 1-esque.
It does.
It's actually more Little Nightmares 2-esque because there's another co-op component to it, and that wasn't a thing until Little Nightmares 2. But very very gothic themed, very dark, a lot of kind of zoomed out, top down, at the back kind of gameplay, or very like, what is that gameplay where it's kind of like
sort of side scrolling, I think they call it.
Side scrolling gameplay. But geez, man, the trailer looks good, and like they are just such good games for someone to watch. Like it's so easy to watch because it's not that hard to game, and it's such an easy thing to pick up. So I can't wait for that. That comes out February 13th. By the time you listen to this, it'll probably be February 20th or whatever.
Nice.
So if you haven't, go check that out.
Very nice, very nice. Okay, my number 2. So I feel like we're doing what's that YouTube series where they do like
top 10 countdown.
Yeah. God, I've got a funny story about that. Maybe in
funniest home videos. Remember that?
Yeah, that company paid for a YouTube clip that Kyle and I once upon a time did. If somebody can go dig it and find that. Okay, so my number two is Blood of the Dawn Walker. And this one is it's done by Rebel Wolves, which I don't know if they've got previous titles under their belt. I'm sure the sort of people behind it have worked in other gaming. They've probably started up their own company there. But it's giving me Witcher vibes, like really, really strong Witcher vibes. And you sort of can play it in two different ways where it's... here we go. Yeah, the director of it worked on The Witcher 3. There you go. Head of production at Cyberpunk as well. Started up his own company. There you go. So, I think the whole gimmick kind of vibe about it is during the day, you walk in there as sort of a human, and then like a mission if you wanted to in this gothic setting, or you go in at night as a vampire. You get two totally different sort of, the NPCs are different. The routes you may take are different, from walking in the front door and trying to sneak in to possibly flying in or climbing rooftops or whatever else.
Yeah, right.
But it sounds exciting. I love a good day-night cycle in a game. Like I feel like that's
huge fan.
Because it changes the whole vibe of like, you sort of come across a mission and night settles in and it kind of the tone shifts. Like I love that. I really like that.
I'm a huge fan. Yeah. Like I love when there's a rotating day sequence in a game. Like it feels like such a little thing for them to do, although I'm sure it's quite complicated, but it adds so much flavor to it.
100%.
Number 2 for me, Subnautica 2. I couldn't keep it off the list, despite everything that's going on over there.
Yeah.
I'm a man of two sides. There's two sides to every story. I want to listen to the right side, but I don't know what's going on. All I know is that a hell of a good game is meant to be coming out this year. It is Unknown Worlds, and Crafton will be publishing it. It's a direct sequel. It's going to be built on Unreal Engine. This is going to be, I reckon, huge if they can wrap up that nonsense that's going on. If you haven't played Subnautica 1, I would go back and play it in preparation for this. Like, I feel like Subnautica 1 is a timeless game. It's not going to age. It flows really well. So it's a really great game. So Subnautica 2, genuinely can't wait.
Nice. Okay, my number 1 is Saros. I hope I'm pronouncing that correct, which is a house marquee title. As I am very much on the record, I probably talk about it every couple of episodes, Returnal. Big fan of that game, and this looks to be them. Different protagonists, probably not much connection, but any of that kind of roguelite, running and gunning, shooting, I am there for. So I am super excited for that. And if you're a recent listener, go back and play Returnal on PS5. I can't plug that game harder.
Yeah. I played the shit out of that when I was unemployed in like 2022.
Mate, it puts a dagger in my heart whenever we chat to Carl and he says he couldn't get into it and get beyond it. It pains me to hear him say it. But nonetheless, just a couple of honorable. So that is my most excited game of the year. I cannot wait for it. It's coming out late April. There's a couple of games this year that I'm penciling in that I'm pretty tempted to take some time off work. The next one being Crimson Desert next month. But the other honorable mentions, whether they come out this year or get pushed, Marvel Wolverine. There's the Marvel 1943 Rise of Hydra, a couple of Marvel games there. The Marvel Wolverine one particularly looks tasty, of the sort of guys who did the Spider-Man games, and quite a different tone from them. Marathon could be good. Lego Batman has had a lot of interest, and Slay the Spire 2 could be a good iPhone game. I don't know if you've got any honorable mentions, T.
I sure do, and I still have my number one to go. Thank you very much.
Apologies.
Number one for me is Fable.
It's Fable, of course.
Couldn't keep it off. I remember being a big fan of the first one, but not playing it that much. I remember doing a lot of watching. Yeah, that came out a while ago.
Mate, that is, yeah.
That came out from memory like 2004
or
something.
Mate.
So
there is a whole generation of gamers which have no idea about the Fable series and what those games were like.
Yeah, so can't wait for that. Some honorable mentions from me, definitely. Lords of the Fallen 2. That's meant to be getting a direct sequel. It's scheduled for release later this year. Guy spoke about a rotating day and night cycle. Lords of the Fallen is all about the umbral and the living realms, I suppose. It's like, which you can switch between seamlessly. Storyline was great. The gameplay was great. Really keen to see where that game goes. To be out, you could have argued it should have been in my top 5, but it didn't quite cut it. Also, Star Wars Pod Racing, the Galactic Racer. That's meant to have a huge release later this year in 2026. So hoping that none of these games get released, but with such a stacked lineup, you never know. But they're my 2 honorable mentions as well as my top 5. So I know for gaming.
Yeah, oh mate, it's such a good year. It does, the whole, like, I feel like we've talked about it before, so I don't want to carry on about it. But anytime I see where they go like, oh, this will be released Q3 for 2026, I always think to myself, going like, it's going to be 2027. Like,
I feel like if you don't have a release date walking into the year, it's not a good sign.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting though, because like, I was sort of looking at the release titles coming up, what's ahead. And if you sort of look at the ones that are actually bona fide locked in, the latest game that is set is GTA 6 on November 19. There's a couple of games in September, so like you almost feel like some of these games at this day and age, it's like you kind of only hear it's coming out when it's about 3 months away. Like that tends to be the way they kind of operate. Beyond that, it's only like the really big titles.
It's an interesting one. I agree. It's a bit worrying, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah. But we are reviewing Ghost of Yotei this episode. And if it's all right with you, T, I'm going to absolutely get stuck in. So it was released October 2025, developed by Sucker Punch Production, published by Sony. As we all know, this is the sequel to the award-winning Ghost of Tsushima, or Tsushima, depending on whether you know how to pronounce it or not. From all the way back in, I don't know about that. It was released all the way back in 2020. So the linkages between the two, the stories are set a few hundred years apart. So we've got new characters, new clans, new bad guys, new enemies.
What is go back or forward?
Forward in time.
Okay.
Forward in time. What is the same is the core gameplay. So we're talking open world, third person, sword action kind of game. One thing about Tsushima that I really liked was the 3 islands that they had that were explorable. They were completely explorable. Like you could ride north to south on an island or east to west and just hit coast. In Ghost of Yotei, I'm sort of already heading into sort of a negative for it, but it was areas of islands but then were like grayed out, and there was just lines of trees that you couldn't go past. And I don't know what it is about that. Like, it just didn't kind of, I didn't like it as much. I like kind of fully explorable areas. I think, it annoys me where it's like you play on a map and then you hit like a fake wall, or you get the warning thing going like return to mission area. And you're like, okay, like, I understand, but I don't know. It's just sort of, it breaks the immersion when you hit that. It's like the game saying, no, we didn't develop beyond this wall. This is it.
It has a place in some games, but I know exactly what you mean. Assassin's Creed Shadow did it.
Yeah.
Where it was like you couldn't scale a mountain. It was like, well, what's the fun in that?
Like, I guess I prefer where they inbuilt like areas that you cannot traverse, like a wall, like you kind of like, okay, I'm within a playpen, fine. But, I hate it more when it comes up with the warning line saying, return to mission area. That always kind of frustrates me.
Yeah, definitely. Was that in this game, was it?
No, it wasn't in this one. In this one, it was just lines of trees, like immovable, like blockages of bamboo or something like that you couldn't run past. Well, it wasn't a big fan. Anyway, but the map size felt similar. Yotai didn't feel much bigger. There was sort of 6 bona fide areas. And I know one of your complaints to Ghost of Tsushima was that it was sparse at times, like you could kind of ride through and not really find areas. Whereas Yotai, there was a bit more in there. Like there was it was because I think the areas were a bit more condensed. You didn't find yourself sort of just rolling around, not really sure of where to go and like finding POIs that you'd fall upon. But anyway, I digress. So where, the game really stands up is the fighting, and the sword play, in essence. So the first game, you had 4 different stances or 5 stances that you'd variate, sort of move in between mid-fight to work against a shield enemy, to work against the various types of enemies it would throw at you. There was a correct stance for the enemy that you came up against. It's moved away from that in Yotai. Now you've got basically 6 different weapons. You've got your katana, you've got dual katanas, you've got this chain claw kind of thing. Then you kind of got a pike, but it's called something else. And then you got this huge, massive sword katana thing, and even some firearms. And lo and behold, I found out a piece of trivia that the samurai were very huge adopters of firearms in history. Like, that's sort of a bona fide fact. So having them in the game was not a bit of a deal breaker, but it does, as your sort of mid katana fight getting popped and not going down, there is obviously difficulty settings. And I do appreciate a game that there's variances. I'm trying to, that word stumbling me, where you can select the difficulty depending on certain specifics. So it's like, do you want really hard puzzles? Put that up to hard. Do you want really hard fight sequences where it's like, if you get nicked once with a katana, game over? I like that kind of
compartmentalizes it.
Exactly. So now moving to the positives. I'll do the positives and then delve deeper on the negatives if I will. So gameplay-wise, it is fluid. It is tight, same as the previous title. Sneaking through a camp, assassinating like numerous people, clearing it out without raising an alarm. Still really good, charging into a fight and taking on 25 where you're like, fight me kind of mentality is great. It's super fun. Visually phenomenal. Like riding across that island, there's this huge mountain. I had it on my massive Sony TV. It looked really appealing. It was at the start, the missus was sat there going like, this looks phenomenal, and had her attention. So I was sort of thinking the misso was going to watch me run through this entire game and enjoy the story with me. Because the story in the first game was really good. It was phenomenal. Like that was largely where I think a lot of it's, not to dive deep into it, but, we talked the fight against the Mongolians, his honor, like whether he'd fought as a bona fide samurai or leaned into this in the shadows, assassinating, like it had layers to the story, which I really liked. In this game, Yotai, absolute flop. It pained me. It really pained me. So the premise is you start the game off as a kid, a renegade group of samurai called the Yotai 6, kill your family. And many years later, you come back to exact revenge on the 6 of them, hunt them down one by one. a la sort of Assassin's Creed kind of vibe a little bit. Exactly. And at the start, I was certainly motivated, and sometimes gaming motivation means a lot. It kind of pushes you on beyond a frustrating component to go, I want to see how this game ends. And at the start, I was motivated. I was like, yeah, I'll kill these 6 guys. Like, they made you watch as they hung your mum. Like, it's pretty visceral stuff at the start. By the end, it felt like pulling teeth. I could not wait to put that game down and move on with my life. It dragged so hard. I didn't fall in love with the protagonist, Atsu. I didn't find her endearing as much as I did as the character in the first one. Jin Sakai was his name. The levels of storyline to it, it was just a basic revenge story, which as the story unfolds and there becomes component to it, it ends up becoming a bit of a, will she focus on revenge or actually sort of become a bit more of a human, and care about the people around her and not just have this single-minded attention on, I'm going to kill these 6 people if it kills me kind of mentality, which is fine, but it's just, I expected more from what they did in the first game. The first game was just, it was phenomenal. And this one, and from a storyline, just it wasn't there. And unfortunately, there's a couple of examples. So cutscenes for me are critical. Like you can have a really cool fight sequence, but if a cutscene breaks your immersion in the game, it's really frustrating. And in the third act, you get introduced to this young girl, and I'm going to try really hard to avoid spoilers here, because it is a game a lot of people are playing. It's got sort of millions of purchases, so I'm going to avoid spoilers, although many people probably have already played it. Anyway, you're introduced to this girl. She's constantly running off from her parents, like constantly, to help you with missions, and just because she's idolizes you or whatever. The problem is there is a fucking war going on, and she's constantly running away. And there are missions where your character is like telling her to go home, and you are nowhere near where she lives by herself in the middle of a war zone. And not only that, if she was caught by the enemy, they'd want to kill her because she is an enemy in their eyes, and they probably don't give a shit. They've leveled entire towns. But this chick constantly is popping up, and you're like, who in the story when they wrote this was like, yeah, let's have a 6-7-year-old girl just running around an absolute war zone with her parents not being aware of it but not caring, in essence. Like, it boggles your mind. And there's one point, you and your 2 of your crew that are sort of helping you out roll up on this city where the girl lives, to add, and there's an enemy invading the entire city. And one of your companions is like, I need to get into this city to save that girl. And this individual is like, we got to go now. Like, it's you're watching this scene unfold, and there is like thousands upon people running into this city, taking it over. And he's like, we got to get in there. And your character and the other person is like, slow down. Let's consider our options here. Like, you're being brash, and kind of talks this individual off the cliff. Anyway, so the guy's like, okay, like, and throttles back a bit. And the third person goes, let's wait until nightfall. And the guy's like, okay. What? You just, like, what? So you're going to sit. Yeah, you're going to sit there for 8 hours while the city's being invaded, and his motivation is to go in and save this one person. In 8 hours, they're dead. Everybody's dead. And you're just like, we'll chill for 8 hours. I just was like, put my controller down. I was like, this is so dumb. Like, who wrote this? Who in their right mind storyboarded this and was like, okay, for the benefit of the story, or because it'll be cooler to do this at night, we're going to make them just sit around for 8 hours. And you go, like, what?
Do you think we're just starting to see the induction of AI generated storylines?
Maybe.
Because that, to me, you're right. I don't think any human constructing that story would think that's a good idea, but AI would never make that connection. It would just think, oh, Japan,
wait until nightfall, more stealthy. Yeah.
Wait until nightfall. Yeah.
Mate. If they did, it probably wasn't ChatGPT 4 or 5 or whatever. It was probably ChatGPT 1 not to make that connection, because Jesus, like, no, it's so.
I hate stuff like that. You know what we've started doing here in our house is shit movie night.
Oh, yeah, okay.
So we deliberately it's so easy to find a bad movie.
I got one for you. Because I watched one last night that had me beside myself. Have you watched Trap?
I don't think so. No.
So it's M. Night Shyamalan movie. He did Signs. Shyamalan. Yeah. Yep. He did Unbreakable, Signs. Like he's got a thing behind him. This movie is there's his daughter is the main character, or one of the main characters in it, and she's a pop star. And the movie feels like he just came up with this movie to do a movie that puts her daughter in a movie so she become an actress or, a pop singer or something.
Wait, is this where the dad is like...
Yeah, the dad's is...
I have seen this. I have seen this.
Oh, to be fair, Josh Hartnett, who plays the lead character, is not bad. Like, he actually carries it. He carries it and plays a creepy guy really well. But the daughter and all the other sort of story beats for it, I was like, this is just off. Like, and the ending was like, where's the twist? You're known for the twist. Where's the twist, man?
Yeah. Anyway, the reason why I brought that up is because sometimes it's good to know going into a movie that I'm not going to try and enjoy this. I'm actually
that's probably
the enjoyment I'm going to get out of this is, at different times.
Yeah, I get you.
What?
Well, yeah, because if you go,
no way Ghost of Yotai should be in that sentence.
Oh, exactly. Like, and that's probably at its detriment that my expectations were high for this game, and it didn't meet it. Like, that's always a punish where you're really excited for a movie come out, you go see it, and it didn't meet your expectations. That sucks.
Yeah.
So I'll just give you one more example of the terrible cutscenes, because I could pull out a huge list, but I'll try and walk you through another one here. So there's a part where you are picking mushrooms with this same girl, that I'm being very vague with the characters, and she wants to show you something, and runs off in a direction, and your character says, I wondered where you sneak off to all the time. And in the same conversation, this girl's like, so are you going to continue hunting the rest of the bad guys, in essence? And you're just like, this girl's been kidnapped and in terrible positions so many times, and she's still sneaking off, and you're aware of it, in where there's still bad guys roaming the landscape, murdering people. And eventually she takes you to this spot. And oddly enough, where you're looking at mushrooms is the same place where at the start of the game, you led the big bad to your family where they got murdered. And so it's like they've tried to connect the locations as let's finish the story where it started. But you're then there, and it just doesn't make any sense while this girl is still running off. And it just annoyed the hell out of me. It's so frustrating. I was
struggling to find good storylines in 2026.
Man, I mean, you want a good storyline, play Dispatch. And Ghost of Yotei last year game. And I said it with this Dispatch. I was like, the bar's been raised for me now. Like, every once in a while, you get a Baldur's Gate, you get a Dispatch coming through where you go, this is original, this is good. I cannot fault it. I'm not left at the end of the game going, why did you do that? Why did you pick that? And I got the real sense with Ghost of Yotei. This, to me, was, we are going to take the core gameplay of Ghost of Tsushima, whack a new coat of paint on it, and release a new game for another $100. Like, it has the hallmarks to me of a bit of Assassin's Creed, of you lift and shift and then you release it again. Yes. It was almost a DLC. It could have been a DLC where it's like, those games where it's like you play like a Batman and the Arkham games, you're like, yeah, sick, good fun. And they're like, okay, now we're going to do a Robin game. And you're like, who the fuck cares about Robin?
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to play a whole game about that guy. Like, I'm playing about Batman. Anyway, let me give the numbers for this. I've kind of gone way too into detail with some examples here. But so storyline 6, world building 6.5, character dev 5.5, storytelling as an average is a 6 overall. Didn't rate it, didn't vibe it, could put it away. Done. It made me done with samurai games for a while, to be very honest with you. Moving to the other side of the coin, mechanics and challenge 8.5. The mechanics are sound. The challenge was fun. couldn't fault that. Or I could fault it a really bit, because it's the same game as Ghost of Tsushima. Entertainment 7.5. I was entertained. The build was sort of 7. I preferred the various stances. That to me was a bit more depth of thought out of different stances for different weapon types. Yeah. To just give you different weapons didn't it was like what is she, expert in 5 to 6 different weapons? Like, come on. And then loot and extras, I gave it an 8 in this category. Unfortunately, the mini games were a little bit worse than Ghost of Tsushima. There was no rock stacking, which I really enjoyed in that game. That was like a nice zen thing to do. In this, it's just drawing and playing music, and it really utilizes the PS5 like sensor middle part of the controller, which I'm not that fussed about. I'm like, I don't care if your controller's got a sensor pad in the middle of it. Like, what is this, like a BlackBerry? Like, I want the buttons, give me the buttons, let me play the buttons. I can see you're yawning. Hopefully our listeners are not yawning as well. Guys, on another fucking soapbox here.
I remember some of the smaller games from Ghost of Tsushima, and like I liked the bamboo cutting. I thought that was a sick.
They brought it back. Exactly same. No difference. Cut, lift and shift, perfect example. And the hot springs, another lift and shift. No difference there. It was just like, they worked in the first game, let's do it again. So gameplay 7.5. Yeah. So in total, it's like a 6.8. It's a wait until that bad boy drops significantly in price. In my humble opinion, if you were a big fan of Ghost of Tsushima, they could have done better. And I was really remiss to see, just looking today, that it's exceeded Tsushima's sales counts, and made massive numbers of sales in the amount of time. In the same amount of time, it's made more sales, which, I think I'd be curious eventually when the award season comes around, or sort of if Tsushima probably fell into last award season. But anyway, or Yotai fell into the last season, excuse me. I don't know, like if I'm wrong on this, as per usual, T, when we do our reviews, if I'm wrong on this and you thought I was dead off, all I would say to a person who, if they loved Ghost of Yotei, stack it up, get next to Tsushima, and tell me I'm wrong. Tell me it's a better game, because I don't think it is.
That's so fair. It's a little bit disappointing, eh? Like, I remember people were looking forward to this, and I think, it's like,
we were looking forward to it. I think I had it in my top 5 games I'm most excited for this time last year.
Yeah, sometimes things just work better without a sequel.
I mean,
especially if you don't do it justice, man.
Obviously Control Resonant hasn't come out yet, but in my opinion, if you're going to do a sequel, either continue Jin Sakai's journey, and it's a new adventure for the same character that you've fallen in love with, and he refines his honor, or I don't know, take it in that journey. Or if you're going to do a new character, just make sure the audience likes the character. It's just, I just didn't vibe with the character, and that to me means a lot. If you're not on their journey, you just kind of go, what's the point of this?
No, and it's justified.
I 100%ed it. And I hate myself for it. My missus by the end was like, "Can you please stop playing this game? I'm sick of watching it." Which is a terrible sign.
Yeah, that ain't a good sign. Oh well, there you go. Well, I hope it's onwards and upwards from here,
mate. I mean,
at this point though.
Wow, I looking ahead, I am genuinely excited. I think we got a couple of more back catalogs. I've got Mafia: The Old Country lined up for a review in the not too distant future. I know you've got a couple lined up in your backpack, back pocket, in your safe pocket. But I gotta be honest, Mafia, your jail pocket, Mafia: The Old Country. Not as a, what would it be, the spoiler alert, I'm gonna bury that game too, because it wasn't very good. I was really disappointed with it.
Damn. Should I just do like Super Mario Odyssey next episode or something, just to lift the spirits a little bit?
Yeah, actually, could you? I've really bitten one off today. Apologies.
No, we both have in these last 2 episodes. I was not happy with Silent Hill F.
And I'd be curious to know if our listener enjoys it where we do a really glowing review, or they'd rather hear us spit chips and be like, "Fuck this game."
I think that's the good thing about the evening game, though. You're going to get honesty.
True.
You can trust the review. Hey, no one's filling our pockets.
I gotta be honest. If I was a listener, I enjoy the fact that, it's like when you watch those YouTube clips and it's all very profesh, and it's like they've got their clips and it's clearly profesh, and there's us dropping F-bombs on the cash. But anyway, apologies, everybody.
We've been a lot better at that though lately, to be fair.
I always say when I'm tired, it comes out of me a fair bit more. I lose the control of it. Anyway, let's wrap this episode up.
Ghost of Yotei, not quite there.
Indeed. I'm done.
Don't be an NPC.
Keep leveling up, everyone. Have a great week.
Everyone.